So, late winners, eh? Not nearly as much fun when they're going in the other net, are they? But hey, it's the way it goes sometimes. Welcome to the Late Challenge Podcast. I'm Mo Stewart. That's Gareth Roberts. And yes, we are going to be talking about late winners. And no, it's not going to be as fun as when we were talking about it in recent weeks. But hey, this is what we are here for. We are here to talk about football however it falls. Yes, we got a bit of a taste of our own medicine on Saturday as Crystal Palace got one over on us for the second time this season to end our 100% winning start to the season and become the last remaining unbeaten team in the Premier League. Boo! It was annoying, wasn't it?
It was annoying, but, you know, I don't think it was entirely unpredictable. We did say it was going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
It was a tough game. Palace have been a good side for some time. Got a good manager, good at home. And we gave them all the encouragement that they needed. So it was annoying, but like I say, I expected it to be a tough game. I didn't expect us to play so badly. But, you know, it is what it is. We're top of the league still. People now declaring Arsenal favourites for the title. So good luck to them. See where that gets. And, I just think, like, you know, there's no... I would never say don't get too high, because the whole point is to get high. The whole point is to enjoy football. The whole point is to get carried away and think you can win things. So that's what they're doing over there, sound. Yeah. But equally, you know, don't get too low, especially when it's one game. You know, like if you'd given us this as a start of the season, you know, 7 games, 6 wins, 1 defeat, I think we're taking it, aren't we? Because no one expected us to do the whole season unbeaten. There are problems there, which we'll get into. There are issues there. There are worries there. And I get if people are worried about all of those things. But look, since Arne Slot's been here, we've only lost 5 league games. 2 of those didn't matter because we'd already won the league. So that's not bad. And the other thing I'd say, I was looking at your agenda before, and one thing that was like sort of, you know, just in my mind that I thought I'd have a look at, so I went and had a look. Last year, we obviously won the league. Yeah. That was nice, wasn't it? And the table this time last year, we've got the same points. And Arsenal have actually got a point less. Yeah. And City have got 4 points less. And then, you know, the difference, the thing to debate is that, you know, when we lost the game last year, well, we lost to Forest 4th game in. We then won the next 8 on the spin. Then we drew 2-2 at Arsenal. Then we won another 7 on the spin. So the question is, are we capable of doing that? Will we be able to do that? There's a tough spell coming up, and we will see. But I wouldn't get too downhearted about what we're seeing. Like I say, you know, this time last year, we played 6, won 5, lost 1, 15 points, top of the league, 1 point ahead of Man City and 1 point ahead of Arsenal at that stage. And we went on to win the title. Yeah. So
perspective, innit? It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you went from a 5-point lead, 5-point lead to a 2-point lead. It feels all woe is me. But like I say, that's really good. I'm glad you kind of went and did some research and brought that out for us all. Because my intention was also to be a little bit like, we are obviously, as you mentioned, going to go into the bad things, and we are going to probably criticize some people. But I do want to make it clear that 7 wins and then 1 defeat is not a reason for heads to fall off all over the shop. And I've got some more stats for you. It's going to be a little bit more like make you feel a little bit better. As you mentioned, Liverpool are still top of the Premier League. It's a really good one. We're still the best when it comes to injury time winners, 47, which is 12 more than the second place team, which is Arsenal. Even better than that, we've conceded only 16 injury time winners in the Premier League. Little test for you. Do you remember when the last one was before this time?
No.
I'll give you a clue. No, you let it go.
Oh. Tottenham Hotspur away.
Yes, it was. With 9 men.
With 9 men,
yeah. It's unfortunate for Joel Matip. Last one if you're watching Joel. Liverpool have scored in 40 consecutive Premier League games, which is still 15 away from the record from that ridiculous Arsenal team, but better than any Liverpool team's ever done. And Liverpool have beaten Crystal Palace with an injury time winner 4 times in Premier League history compared to 1 the other way, which is equal to Chelsea how many times they did to Wigan, which, considering how short a time Wigan was in the Premier League, feels particularly cruel. The best, by the way, because I know you want to know, is 5 injury time goals, which Liverpool scored against Newcastle and Liverpool scored against Everton.
I knew that one.
Yes. Right. So we've almost got all the fun out of the way. I just want to do what you did last week, which is we mentioned about Robbo's wonderful little hoodie that he got from the Art of Football. And I was like, oh, mine's not arrived yet. Oh. Check this out. I really like it. Now, I'm scared wearing this colour because I'm a mucky pup in general, but this is really nice. And like you say, the embroidered touch, it really does.
It's good, isn't it?
It really does make a difference. But even better than that. So when I messaged them and they said, what size are you? And I was like, just give me your biggest. Because I didn't know it was going to get over my gut. So they're like, don't worry, we'll get you something else as well. So they got me something else as well. A lovely print, Anfield under the lights.
Oh, nice.
So this will be going up on my wall. So the Art of Football, you can check them out on Instagram, on all other social medias, and on the website. Lots of really cool stuff like this and like this. So thank you. So there we go. That's all the fun stuff out of the way. Let's get into this game then, shall we? Considering this was something that we do for enjoyment, i.e. watching football, there wasn't a massive amount of it on Saturday, was there?
Football?
I mean, enjoyment.
No. I mean, Liverpool, started the game horrendously, didn't they? And then continued that way and obviously got much better second half. Could have got something, should have got something really to, when you equalise so late, you should really see it out from there and hang on from there. And, lots of strange things happened, which meant that didn't happen. Yeah, it was just, you could tell really early on. I mean, there is a little bit of a pattern, I think, in terms of what teams are doing, in terms of they're just saying, go on then, you have the ball, we'll just sit in, we'll nick the ball from you and we'll break on you and we think that's your weak spot, and right now it appears to be. But, that plan is not helped by so many players just not being on it whatsoever. No. And I think, there's all this story, all this narrative for developing around Crystal Palace bogey side. I've talked about it before about how it does me head in. We'd won the last 9 of the last 10 at Selhurst before that game. So it's not even true. Yes, we've struggled against them at times. Yes, they have now beaten us, albeit once on penalties, twice this season. We've got to play them again in the League Cup, by the way. Yeah. So it's developing into one of those things. SARS scoring again seemingly every time we play them. So, all of these things, didn't bode well, did they? But, and look, I was fuming in the week, to be honest with you. I was fuming before we even got to this game. And I had a bit of a strange exchange with someone about it because, I sensed that we could quite have done with Ekitike. And then we didn't have Ekitike. And then guess what? A lad who we all knew wasn't fit and ready and able to play 90 minutes didn't look fit, able or ready to play 90 minutes. And not only that, I thought he spends a lot of the time he sat with his hand up in the air or running and pointing, and then the ball not coming where he wanted it very often. And okay, look, he nearly manufactured a goal himself with some lovely snake hips there, but it wasn't quite to be. But I think in an ideal world he wouldn't have been playing that many minutes, and that's down to Ekitike being a dozy bastard, stroke soft bastard, stroke whatever expletive you want to aim his way. Because what was he doing there in the week? Do really what was he doing? I can't get my head around it, and genuinely I don't get people. I get like we're all daft about football ultimately, because if you boil it down to what it is and how much time and effort you put into it, it doesn't add up, does it? So okay, we're all a level of daft about this sport, but where you're somehow defending that, or you're somehow saying it's not that bad, or you're somehow blaming the referee, or something. No, it's down to him. No, it's down to him. And we could have done with him at Palace.
First of all, I'm not blaming the referee. Not at all. It's definitely down to him. Definitely was. I agree with Slot when he said it was needless and it was stupid. And the fact that the other point that Slot made, which was like, this wasn't like a massive great goal in the Champions League final. This was the first round of the League Cup.
It's not wrong.
But I do have a little teeny tiny kernel of sympathy for him, because the only reason he did that is all of the noise around the other fella. All of the talk about the other fella, about how he's eventually going to be moved to the side. No matter what he does, this great, wonderful, world-class striker that we've been chasing for all this time and spent all this money on, no matter what he does, he's going to be moved out. And he's been like, hang on a minute, I'm the one here. I'm the one scoring the goals. So
I'm the one throwing the ball into the ground and picking up a booking for fuck all, and I'm the one getting sent off because I took my top off.
And yes, that is all still true, but it's the harshest of harsh lessons. But it's a lesson that he will learn. I guarantee you, he will never do that again. And one other last thing I would say in mitigation is that we had a filmer number 9 who used to take his shirt off all the time and get himself into trouble because of it. But he never quite had to deal with this because he stopped just in time. A certain Brazilian, lots of white teeth. We loved him. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a break. But I agree with you when you say that we really could have done with him on Saturday. And I think that Slot ended up playing Isak for much longer than
someone in the comments hasn't met me. Suarez did some shit and we forgive him.
No, we don't.
I stood in front of 2,000 people in Australia once and called him a cunt because they thought he was one. Yeah. And I haven't really changed my mind. No. He was brilliant at football, but he threw the club under the bus. He threw Kenny under the bus, and there's no excuse for what he did. So, not me, mate. I'm afraid. But just away from that, what did taking this on into this game? I just thought there was like some, when someone's playing a game, I never think you're doing this on purpose.
No.
But equally, I don't know why, some people aren't switched on at the start of a game. I don't get why they're not ready to go. I don't get why they're doing some things. And so, that first goal for me even is a string of dozy moments. And being there and watching it and seeing it unfold was so frustrating, because even from, I know where the focus is and I know what people think and all the rest of it, but even from the moment Van Dijk pings that ball, I'm looking at Bradley saying, lad, like because he's just like waiting for it to, I'm just going to take this down on my chest, I'm just going to do that. Nah, mate, there's a fella fucking pelting at you there who's going to nick it, and then he nicks it. And at least Bradley runs the length of the pitch with him and is putting some kind of effort of a challenge in. So Bosley, by the way, overtakes everyone to get back to put a challenge in. And he was one of the few that emerges from that game for me with any kind of you can say he performed well. Alisson, another one, obviously. But so Bradley gets back sound. So Bosley's getting in there. That was the first moment where I thought, well, okay, what's Konate doing? Because he sort of meanders over, half tackles Szoboszlai. And it's like, this isn't a good start, lads. Do you know what I mean? And then, and by the way, just to be a bellend, because I love it, I thought it's only Liverpool that get the injury time. I thought it's only Liverpool who we play as long as Liverpool want and then we score. Because that's the latest goal in Crystal Palace Premier League history.
Yeah.
96-59. And sound, I don't begrudge them, to be fair.
No.
They did, on the day, they deserve to win the thing. But I just think, so it's the latest goal in their Premier League history. That wasn't a corner.
It definitely wasn't a corner.
That wasn't a corner.
That much is true.
But we got everything. And apparently there's people who want Liverpool to win the league, and there's a whole referee conspiracy and blah, blah, blah. How's that theory going, lads?
I'm hoping that we can put that to bed.
And an Arsenal player can chin someone while they're playing footy, and it's sound.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so I'm a little bit. I know that we went hard on the injury time chat last week on the other side, so we can't really then turn around.
I'm taking the piss.
I know you are, but I know there are people out there listening who go, "Oh, what about what you said last week?" Yeah, we are joking, but yeah, I guess we kind of need to get into the Ibu show because he really did dominate that first half. I'm still a little bit surprised he made it to half-time, and even more surprised he made it out for the second half because Slot has definitely hooked players for less than what we did from him. But before we kind of go deep into it, there's 2 points I want to make about Ibu. One, lots of people are talking about him and saying that all of the Real Madrid rumours are swirling around, saying that he's checked out and that this is why we've seen so many poor performances from him this season. And look, I understand where that line of thought has come from, but that does ignore some rather large evidence. And the fact is, he's been dozy before. He's been dozy pretty much his entire Liverpool career. And look, don't get me wrong, that's part of why I love him as a man, as a human. Like the way he is so goofy around the place, like turning up to the French training with that mad mesh hood on, and like just the mad stuff he comes up with. You think, oh yeah, I'd love to go out for a drink with him. He seems like a lot of fun. But there's also times when you want to just grab him by the shoulders and be like, lad, this is serious. We need you to switch on. And the most annoying thing about that was Palace clearly knew that he could be got at, and he was got at. Like concentration and the ability to keep the ball under pressure.
They literally targeted that area of the pitch time and time again, and it worked.
It works.
And, you know, I just don't get as well, again, when you're just trying to, like, you know, you're watching it as a fan, you're in the stand, you can see it hasn't started well, and you're just thinking, well, surely, you know, there's a period of percentages from once you've gone 1-0 down, like, because the last thing you want to do is go 2 or 3 and it's out of sight, which it should have been and could have been, and if it wasn't for the goalkeeper. And it's like, so what are you doing on the centre circle there? Why are you doing these mad pirouettes and allowing them in again? You know what I mean? I genuinely just don't know what he was doing. And you're right, like, he has had these moments in him before, but it's like, I don't get what I don't get is he almost like doubles down on the doziness. Like, he's done one thing, so now you're waiting for the succession of them to come, and it's like, play percentages. Like, if you're not playing well, then, you know, like, play yourself mentally back into the game. Then just boom it for a bit, just get rid for a bit, play a percentage ball for a bit. Don't start pirouetting on the fucking centre circle and letting them in.
And this is the other thing.
And I think by the way, if Leone hadn't got a season-ending injury, we might have seen him fucking hooked after a couple of minutes. But as it was, there's not really any options there, because I don't know where Gomez is at, but I get the distinct impression that they don't really think they can rely on him over any period of time, because his career, unfortunately, injury-wise, says that.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I remember last season when he got injured at half-time against Brighton and Gomez came in and played brilliantly. And even earlier this season against Arsenal, but that when he had to go off injured, that was like 75 minutes, so it was only 15 minutes. Whereas, like you say, it might be that they don't think that Joe can play like an hour or something like that, or maybe they're just worried that because he'd already played in midweek, play an hour and then
double down on
and
it.
Also, like you say, Leone's gone, so he really is the last one. So if something happened to him, then all kinds of trouble we'll get into. But you mentioned about his reaction to the mistake, and this is the other thing, because like it's weird. I remember saying a couple of weeks ago, or in fact at the beginning of the season, about how we need to kind of be a little bit more forgiving, I think, a little bit with the players in general, but that doesn't mean to say we should never ever criticise him. I just think that there's a difference between criticism and abuse. So it's kind of I want to come to him like I'm an older brother, rather than like I'm some random person who's never met him, who's just, you've lost me loads of money on a bet or whatever. So his reaction to the mistake, like you say, they're just taking 5 minutes. Which one? Touche. That's part of the problem, though, because it kind of feeds the next one and the next one and the next one, and so you get into a situation where you could tell he was flustered. And when you've got up against someone like Mateta, who is obviously now a really top level Premier League striker, but is also a smart fella, he knew, okay, now I can really start getting into it. And he was kind of just leaning into him and just kind of goading him into a physical battle, and then just turning away from him. And
the one where he just ends up one-on-one with Alisson, I just don't know what I don't know what he's doing, because he's over moaning to the referee.
Yeah.
And you're like, lad, it's nothing to do with the referee. He's just had you off.
He's had you off big time.
And like, you're making yourself look a dope by going over to the referee, because there was nothing there. No one else appealed for it. No. It wasn't a foul. He's just brushed it off, ran through. And again, repeating myself like a parrot, if it wasn't for Alisson, that's a goal. And it probably should have been a goal. Do you know what I mean? And it was shocking. And it's worry now that, the options at centre half are a worry, because, obviously hindsight and all the rest of it. But I think, plenty of us wanted Gay. And then, it's just like further rubbing your face into the mud, isn't it, that he assists the fucking winner as well. And you're like, oh, fuck off.
Although, I don't know if anyone noticed his reaction to both goals. There wasn't a lot of celebrating going along.
I think there was more on the second one, wasn't it? It felt a bit internet-y, mischievous shit, that. But... yeah, it's just... look, I don't want the season to turn into a season of graft, and it may well not do, but, even the next 2 games are not ideal, are they? Do you know what I mean?
No.
And it's like, you're looking for positives and you're looking for reasons to stay. Well, the league table's the first one, first and foremost, but Galatasaray away and Chelsea away. Okay, cheers, football gods.
I mean, well, we're going to come into both of those games in a bit more detail, and to be honest, when it comes to centre-backs, Chelsea are actually in a worse position than us, which is quite... comforting. But the last word I would say on Ibu, I think we're in a situation now where people need to not allow the Madridness to kind of come into their thinking. Just analyse him on the football that he is or isn't playing. Don't think, oh, he's already gone. And don't allow the Trent situation to come into this. Treat them as 2 separate people. As I say, he's got plenty of things that he's doing wrong to criticise him for. Let's not get all kind of...
I'll tell you what I spotted, and look, maybe I'm making a thing out of it, but I can't not say something when it bothers me. And I saw it and I just thought, it's a bit weird, that, mate, about Konate. And this isn't something he did on the pitch. This is something he did off it, which is David Lynch did some tweets or did a video or whatever it was about him being a good player and about him being underrated, and he thinks a lot of Liverpool fans give him a bit of stick when it's unnecessary. This wasn't after this game, by the way, yeah. Obviously, and he got involved with it.
He does that, and I've seen him do it a few times.
I'm not sure about that, and it's weird that he does it, because I've heard Verge and I've heard Mo basically saying, that they say to the younger players, just fuck social media off. Don't get involved. Don't let it get into your head. Don't let it, and they've said it to Rio and things like that. And I was like, good that, because I've never ever believed any of them when they say it doesn't affect them.
Yeah,
I just don't believe
you don't want to go down that road.
Even if you think it doesn't affect you, I think it does. Yeah. And so for him to be sitting up in his bills looking at what people are saying on Twitter, I just thought,
not good.
I don't know about that, mate.
I mean, again, I feel like it comes back to the maturity question. And it's like something he just needs to learn to leave alone. Anyway, it's going to become a Konate show if we don't move on. So,
yes, indeed.
You mentioned a few times about Alisson. Let's talk about one of the players who we thought did really well. And, we do take him for granted. We all take him for granted. And then he comes out and proves exactly why he's so bloody good. I remember last season at Salah, he had a fantastic game, and then he ended up getting injured 20 minutes from the end. We almost got out of jail 95% because of him. And if you're a Crystal Palace player, you must have been so frustrated at that first half, because when they were in the half time, yes, they were pleased and they played well and they were 1-0 up. You can't tell me they weren't thinking, well, we know what these are like. They're going to score late goals now. We should be 2 or 3 or 4 up by now. And it's all because of him.
Yeah, it is. And, it's... You saw you saw what Virgil said after the game. He said, we were sloppy and we're lucky we've got the best goalkeeper in the world. And if we got a draw, it would have been 1 point too many. But, that's what everyone said. That's anyone with eyes who watched it was like, Liverpool are only even in this because of the goalkeeper, no other reason whatsoever. And the slightly unfortunate and what would have been a great goal when Mateta hit the post.
Yeah.
That was just, he'd beat him there. I mean, there was some questionable finishing as well. I think at least one of them that he saves, it's at him a little bit, and you're like, lad, you should do a bit better than that. You can say the same about Florian Wirtz, I think. Fucking
yeah.
I mean, that was just another one where it was tearing my hair out. It was just like, it's such a good ball from Dom, and it's like, you've got your lad, you are in the 6-yard box, and like, it doesn't matter whether you cost 116 million or 116p, you should put that in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I almost felt sorry for him at that moment, in that, like, you see the criticism coming left, right and centre for him, and it's growing every game where he's not putting in some kind of dominant performance. And I just thought,
Could have done with that.
Could have done with that going in, lad.
Yeah.
Just, like, don't want to get on your back, mate, but you've got to finish from there, really, let's be honest.
And, I mean, we talk about how, obviously, Palace can say that they deserve the win, and we would agree that they played really well for most of the game. Like, I think there's a stat here saying that they created 7 big chances, Opta-defined big chances, which is the most since they've started measuring those against Liverpool, which was 2010. But Liverpool had some chances in that second half as well.
Yeah.
Like 14 of their 20 shots came in the second half. And as you mentioned, Levert's one was probably the best one. There's the one, as you mentioned, Isak kind of fashioned himself. And you think,
hit the post, tipped onto the post.
Yeah. But
can I ask another question as well? Just because you might know I'm a bit narky here today.
Yeah, I noticed.
But it is the frustration of this game.
Of course. Well, I mean,
and like I thought it was actually in a good mood this afternoon. I've got to realise.
Sorry for making you talk about it.
It's because it's all coming up for me now. I'm getting flashbacks. I've got a question to ask, and I feel like it's a good one. What the fuck is Mo Salah doing anywhere near a free kick? Because he's never scored one for Liverpool. He's never scored one in Serie A. I'm pretty sure he never scored one for fucking Basel. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't do free kicks. He doesn't take them. He doesn't score them. So when we're in a game and we're trying to score a goal, and there's at least 2 fellas stood there who in recent times have been putting them in the back of the net, what are you doing taking it? And he's not playing well.
He's not playing well.
He's really not playing well. He's not influencing games. Is that, the way the manager's setting up? Is that him? Is it both? Probably both. But just what are you doing anywhere near a free kick?
So my answer to this question is it's a free shot on goal. And he wants all the shots on goal. He's almost like it's a long penalty. But you're right. Unless he's absolutely lethal in training, which considering I was at training this morning, I don't think it's the case. He has no business. He should be at least. In fact, no. I was going to say, like, obviously you got Dom, you got McAllister. I'd actually put Virgil ahead of him because Virgil has actually scores. Yeah, Verts as well. Yeah, all 4 of those players have scored free kicks in games, and like you say, Salah looks nowhere near. So, okay, I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about Verts first or Salah, but
we're jumping all over the show. It's my fault. Sorry, mate.
No, it's all right. Like you said, I'm sensing like I've got to draw all of this out. Yeah, it's for your own good and for all of our goods. We get this out now. So let's do Salah. So my good friend Sam Maguire wrote a piece on his Substack this morning. It was talking about Mo Salah, and I want to read you a little bit of it now because it really kind of hit home where I'm at with him. I understand the plan is to build around Florian Wirtz, but you have a £380,000 a week 4-time Golden Boot winner in your team, and you aren't utilising him properly. In the second half against Palace, with Liverpool chasing the game, he attempted 8 passes. In total this season, he's taken 10 shots across all 6 matches. He has a non-penalty XG of 0.92 in total, and a non-penalty XG per game of 0.15. One of the best forwards in Premier League history has an XG of 0.15 across 6 matches. Now, he says this is not a Salah issue, it's a slot conundrum to solve, and he puts it down to the fact that we've got all these new weapons in the front line, and you want to get them up to speed, but that means that Salah's no longer going to be the centre of attention. He does look a little bit isolated in most of the games, and it's no surprise that the game he's looked the best in, which is Atletico Madrid, was the one where he's received the most passes. So on that scale, you think, well, okay.
And he does. It's not helping, surely, that he doesn't know who the fuck's playing again behind him from each week. You know what I mean? Like, you're playing 3 right backs in a week.
And I do think, for all of everyone saying that we don't miss number 66, I think of everybody, Salah would be the one who misses him the most, because they played so much of their football together, and so they had such a great understanding. Salah always knew where he was going to be. He always knew that Trent knew where he wanted the ball and when he wanted the ball. And yes,
we're seeing that right across the pitch, aren't we? I think that's what I really saw on Saturday all the time. It was just like, those understandings just aren't there. You know what I mean? And like, that's understandable. But then, like, there's a lot of chopping and changing going on. There's a lot of, there's even like a bit of a new system on Saturday as well. And it's just like, there's we knew it was going to be a little bit like this because there's been so much change in one summer. But equally, it's like, I don't know, like, could we just stick to something for a bit and kind of let it bed? Because it's not going to bed. You're the right back. Dom, you're the right back. Let's change system. Let's do it. And it's like, it feels too much. Like, it feels too chaotic.
But Slot's a cleverer man than you and I.
Of course, yeah.
So he would have known all of this was going to be potential happening. All of this churn, all of this kind of uncertainty, the lack of chemistry, all that kind of stuff. So my question is, well, what was the plan to get around it? How were you going to ride this period until all that stuff came through? So is it just we're going to rely on the individual brilliance of these players to get there and to be able to, when they're in position, take the chances? And like we said, Ekitike's done really well with that. And like I say, Liverpool won 7 out of 8. So there has been a lot of that happening. But like you said, there is stuff with Wirtz now where it's starting to be a little bit more like I saw Tony Cascarino saying something, and normally when Tony Cascarino says something, I don't listen.
Mark glasses and mug. If you haven't seen them, I mean, just look them up. I mean, like, you know, similar in terms of views, but like I was like, what? Like, I need some new glasses, and I thought, like, you know, you look, don't you, and you go, I wait. I can't even say the word. How outrageous can I go?
They're a bit Sue Pollard.
They are fucking wild, aren't they? They're like fucking pair of Elton Johns.
But anyway, what you said is that it felt like Wirtz has actually gone backwards. And I think back to the first game against Palace in the Community Shield. And I thought you actually really looked good in that game. Got an assist in that game, obviously. And then saw him on Saturday. And you look at it and you think, maybe he has a little bit, but maybe that's just confidence. And Slot obviously changed the system partly to try and help him, I think, because he wanted to give Gakpo a rest, understandably. Didn't feel like Rio was the right man to take the left-hand slide. So you're going to have Wirtz over there, but he's not really over there. He was kind of in the middle, so it's more like a 4-2-2-2 thing. But like, problem is with it, like you say, is it's another new system. They're playing every 3 days, so we don't know how long, if at all, they've had to even work on it.
I know, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
And then suddenly you got poor old Milos Kerkez with like half the field to take care of on his own. It's like, and he didn't really. You can sense he hasn't been playing as the bomb-on fullback since he come to Liverpool. So suddenly he's like, "What? I can run up there." He was a little bit apprehensive about it, and so it just didn't work. And fair play to Slot, he realised it didn't work.
Me again, Mum. You've triggered me again mentioning his name.
Oh God! All right, come on, get it out.
Use your right foot and just fucking put it down the field. What the fuck did you like? They do long throws. They do long throws, mate, and it's the last few seconds of the game. What's that weird swivel that you've just done and put the ball out over there? Just give it to fucking Chiesa.
Yeah.
Just put it up the pitch.
So
anything other than put it out there for a throw-in.
To quote our good friend Dave McCabe, that was pressure.
But, you know, I don't look, I don't want to make any comparisons at this stage, but, you know, like, because, you know, it's early, and I liked what I saw of him at Bournemouth, and I liked the bombing on, and I liked the balls into the box and all of that. But I can remember another left back that did mad contortions to not allow things to go on his right foot, and I ended up fucking hating him.
Yeah.
He did my head in.
Yeah.
Sorry, John.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not that arsed.
No.
Just by the way, as well, thanks to Russell McIntosh, who, despite all this anger and ranting and, you know, therapy session for a defeat, he's come on. He's thrown in 140 South African rand.
Nice.
And he said, "This is where I come for therapy after Liverpool losses, although I prefer it after wins. Regards from Cape Town."
Nice one.
Well, thanks, Russell.
Well, I'm glad that we're helping everybody, not just ourselves, with all of this. Look, my thoughts were, when I was doing the agenda, I was like, well, it's been, 2 days since then, so maybe the news cycle's moved on. There's another game in 24 hours. Maybe everyone's got it out of their system. But then I do think what happened yesterday in the Arsenal-Newcastle game probably compounded it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's still all a little bit like, raw, and as you mentioned, so much of it was preventable. So I'm going to trigger you one more time here because I'm going to give some praise to Chiesa. But
he's all right.
we have to give it to Federico.
Yeah.
He came on.
Good against Southampton.
It was very good against Southampton.
Yeah, best game for Liverpool.
It was the kind of thing where it was like he channeled his obvious disappointment into the right way. Maybe a little lesson for Hugo there as well. And he did the business, and it was very selfless, which is what I liked about him in that Southampton game. Earned himself another appearance against Palace. And yes, I don't think anyone can safely say that he meant to put it exactly there.
No,
but he was there. He was alive. He was alert. And when you consider the way that Liverpool conceded those 2 goals, there was not a lot of alive and alert people in the penalty area.
Look, he's throwing in goals and assists, and he's doing something in the Zen product, and you can see, like my problem with him before was, like, I get the desperation to want him to contribute and to want him to do something. But it wasn't there.
No.
And it was like, he didn't look fit. He didn't look fast. He didn't look... He just didn't look on it to me. And I wasn't seeing what seemingly loads of other people were seeing. And when he was... To me, it was no surprise that he didn't get into that Champions League squad. And you saw last season, the complete lack of times he was used was for a reason. It's not just because Slot's like some harsh fella. Ultimately, Slot wants to win football matches, and he didn't deserve to be involved, and it was as simple as that. So I just didn't get it. I didn't get the sort of canonising of him, if that is even the right word, just because you've got to do something first. Do you know what I mean? It's like arse about tit. And so if he's starting to do something now, and he is doing, fucking brilliant. Like, good on him. and I do like, how can you not like what he's doing in terms of, it does look like he's knuckled down, he's got himself fitter, he can actually run a bit now, he's contributing, and he's really good in interviews, and he's been really positive. The players seem to like him. Fair fucks, lad.
Yeah.
And I'm not asked about fucking, like, being proved wrong in inverted commas. I don't give a fuck. If Liverpool win games, the player I hate the most in the squad can score a hat-trick, and I'll be happy. I'm doing a shit. Do you know what I mean? So, no, I'm made up for him. Like, it's good. And he's become an option, which he wasn't before, which is the key thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, most of you will know by now the fact that the news is that he hasn't travelled to Turkey for this game that's happening tomorrow in Galatasaray. We still don't know officially why that is. The suspicion is that his addition to the Champions League squad hasn't yet been ratified, which, to be honest, when I listened to Arne Slot talk about it in his press conference last Friday, when he first said that they were looking into bringing him in because of the Leone injury, it didn't sound like they knew much about how it was going to go down. It was very much like, we've started the process, we don't know when it's going to be finished. So I'm not massively surprised that it hasn't come in time for this game, if that is the reason. We will hear from Arne Slot later tonight. I believe the press conference is at 9 o'clock. As you can tell, I'm not going to be there, but I will be doing my press conference review video. So come over to my YouTube channel later for that. But all of this is to say that, yes, Chiesa is now putting himself in a situation where when Liverpool need a goal, you can look to the bench and see him there and think, okay, we've got a chance. And he did it. And as you say, when you score a goal in the 87th minute, to make it 1-1, you expect to leave with at least a point.
Yeah.
And Liverpool did not leave with a point. And I want to put one last thing I want to talk about from this game is about the manager and his comments post-match, because it sounded like he was as annoyed as you were. And we've seen him be ruthless before. We've seen him single out players before. I mean, he did it literally in the last game when agreeing about Ekitike's stupidity around his red card. But he was talking about a player who thought that the defending was done and sprinted up the pitch to try and start an attack. Well, he didn't really sprint up the pitch, but he moved
a few yards out of
it. It was a
position,
few
basically.
yards.
Yeah.
In order to, away from his marker, and then his marker, the guy who was supposed to be marking, ended up scoring. Now, he didn't name the player, but anyone who's watched it will know that it was Frimpong. How did you feel about him talking about this? Because it did feel a little bit like that was the reason why the defeat happened. And I don't think this is something that he wouldn't have said privately. Like, he's not that kind of guy who's going to kind of throw a player under the bus and not have a conversation with him about it beforehand. But I still was just a little bit like, I'm not sure I'd have done that if that was me.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit harsh. But look, the whole point of, I've always said this about, the press conferences and, the mandatory interviews with a camera stuck in your face as soon as you've walked off the pitch, is to capture the moment when your emotions are at the highest. And look, if you've pulled the game back on 87 and then you've lost it in 97, then you can be the calmest Dutch nice fella in the world, but that will fucking get to you. And so in the moment when you've looked at an iPad on the pitch and seen that it was him and seen that he's out of position and in your eyes he hasn't listened to your instructions, I understand why it can spill out, because every one of these fellas is human, and like, they can train themselves all they like, they can go to see psychologist, therapist or anything else, but sometimes it will just spill out, and you've said it, and we've all been there and we've all done it, so it's one of them. And what I would hope, if like he looks back at it and thinks it would be hard, give him a little cuddle, give him a little, like, listen to us about that, lad. It wasn't just you. No. You know what I mean? I singled you out. I mean, like all the reporter believed, because he didn't say his name.
No, he didn't. He didn't
say his name, and everyone's assumed that it's Frimpong. So maybe it is a little bit harsh. But like I say, I've always got sympathy for the fact that they've got to do that. And, for the majority of the time he's been here, he's kept his cool, Everton aside.
Yeah.
And so, the idea that he might lose it once or twice here and there, I think it happens to them all at times, because, you're basically a volcano ready to go, and then they're sticking you. And here's the next interview, and here's the next interview, and here's the next one, and now there's a press conference, and here's another one, and here's another one. Like, I'm not surprised he don't go more. Well, I am surprised he don't go more.
Yeah, it's a shame, because it's like, you do kind of forget a lot of the time how high pressure the job it is. And yes, everyone's like, well, they get paid well for the privilege and they get all the niceties. Yes, they do. No one's denying that. But that doesn't mean it's not difficult. And like you say, he even mentioned when he was talking about Ekitike midweek that, like, even he has lost his cool at times when we reference that Everton game. I don't think he was too happy with the officials again after this game.
No, yeah, you could see him having a little word, couldn't you? But again, like you just said there, that's not the reason Liverpool lose the game. There's a million and one reasons why Liverpool do lose it. And you said before there was little chances here and there. It just felt, I don't know, up until Chiesa's goal, it felt all day one of those days type of thing. And there was even the one, wasn't there? Dom has a shot and Salah pokes it over, and you're like, was that going in? Because it looked like it was going in. And there's so many bits and bobs. Like, I found it really annoying to watch it back, but kind of back too, because I knew it was coming on here. And every aspect of it, like, I do the thing all the time of saying, are we in the Truman Show? Because it feels like we are sometimes. Like, after this and this and this and this and this and that and that. Oh, you've reacted. That's what we wanted. He's reacted, everyone. Yeah. He's reacted. And it's like, even because even when I watch it back, I mean, obviously I'm there and I know they're doing a VAR check, but I don't get to see any graphics because I'm not watching it on the telly. Yeah. So when I watch it back, and it's like, and it shows that weird fucking computer simulation thing, and it's like, well, how does it show it? Well, so what? A blade of grass on his back stud is playing him on side, basically. Then, yeah, like even that, like a pube has played him on side. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course, it was only that.
Let's ramp it up just to make it.
Do you know what I mean? But look, I think right across this, we've not really said too much that Palace are great,
really good,
and so we should say that at some point. The manager's great, to go unbeaten in 18 and only concede 12 goals is fantastic. I think unfortunately for them, someone will come calling for that manager soon, because it is clearly him. It's a lot of this is him. They've got good players, don't get me wrong, but to have them that organised, that drilled, that confidence that they play with, the idea they can go up against anyone. Arsenal got to play them, I think, November, something like that. Although that is at Arsenal. But when I looked at that, I thought I bet you they go there and give them a game.
Well, they got the draw last time.
Yeah. Scored that beauty, didn't he, Mateta? So yeah, I think we have got to give them some credit. They have got some good players. Unsurprisingly, like the Wharton fella in midfield. Allegedly agreed a deal with someone, and some people say it might be us, but I don't know whether it will be.
We'll have to wait and see.
But he looked good, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He very calm on the ball, and I think that's the kind of thing where you think, oh yeah, this guy can play at a high level. But for Palace, like we spoke a lot about the Nottingham Forest game last season, the defeat, and you mentioned it earlier about Liverpool's reaction to it. I would not be surprised to see Palace do a Nottingham Forest this season and have as good a season as they had last year, and maybe even survive for a little bit longer. They've obviously got a Conference League to deal with, but I think that they can win that as well. So who knows? We might be getting to the end of the season and suddenly that defeat looks a little bit better.
Can I throw another one in? We know when I was researching the years.
Oh yeah, by all means.
So 2021, after 6 games, Liverpool were top of the league, similar to now. But we were played 6, won 4, drawn 2, undefeated, but 14 points, obviously. That season, we went on and got to get 92. Obviously, didn't win it with 92, but we got 92. I seen Rory Jennings, who I'm going to go to his tomorrow and do some videos with him. So look out for that. Not those videos. Come on, you're better than that. I'm going to do 40. Okay, now. I watched his like little, Liverpool video, reaction video, if you like, that he did, and he was just saying like, there's nothing to panic about here, lads. There's nothing to panic. You've still got a good squad, a good manager, loads of talent that's going to blend, talent that's going to work. You're top of the league. Chill. Yeah. And look, I just needed to get a load of stuff off my chest. I do feel better now already.
I'm glad. That's what we're here for, and I'm hoping it helps you. But we can now move on because, as I say, there is a game happening literally tomorrow, so we should talk a little bit about that. Galatasaray in the Champions League, match day 2. I don't know if you guys have seen much about Galatasaray this season, but they are currently top of the league in Turkey, having won 7 out of 7. But the first game of the Champions League against Eintracht Frankfurt, who we're going to be playing next, they got toe-watted. Tonked here, there, and everywhere. They
give up a lot of chances, don't they?
They do. And they scored the first goal as well and still ended up getting humped by 5-1. So you don't know what their true level is, but you can look at their players, and it's a little bit like a bit of a Premier League retirement home. They've got Leroy Sané, Ilkay Gundogan, Mario Lemina, Lucas Torreira, who used to play for Arsenal, Davinson Sanchez, who used to play for Spurs. But obviously, their best player is Victor Osimhen. And kind of like Atletico in matchday 1, we don't know how fit he is. Now, he made 5 minutes, I think, off the bench in the league in the at the weekend. So I expect he will be in the squad. I'd be surprised if he starts, but he's the one they've absolutely got to keep an eye on, isn't he?
Yeah, you'd think so. I mean, this is it. It feels like it feels like one of those games to me where it could be anything, because like you say, they're doing well, the top of the league, all the rest of it. But like, I think they won at the weekend, didn't they? But I read somewhere that the opposition had 22 shots or something, and I was like, okay, now. So I don't think that they're the greatest at shutting up shop.
No.
And we'll have Ekatike back, obviously, as I said. We'll still have Isak around and about. Very much be shocked, in fact, if he started. But we've got plenty of attacking talent. We can score goals. You read out the stats about the consecutive number of games in the Premier League that we score in. We tend to score, don't we? And you tend to think that they will give us a chance to score. Obviously, would reiterate very quickly what we were saying last week as well. Anyone watching or listening who's going out there, look after yourselves, take care of yourselves, stay together, follow the advice, read all the stuff that's out there, get the bus, even if it is a pain in the arse, all of those things.
Go for a piss at the airport.
But seeing lots of people, which was nice. Some of the younger lads, there's a big group of them that go. I know 1 or 2 of them. Seen some nice pictures today of them all like doing boss stuff, like in swimming pools and in bars and having stuff to eat and all the rest of it.
Still get to do the proper way.
Istanbul's a fantastic city, isn't it? So like it's just just a shame that, you know, the various parties involved in organising these things have made it feel so grim before half of our supports even got over there. But anyway, a conversation for another day.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see exactly how that goes. As I said, there's a press conference later tonight. So come over to my YouTube channel and you'll hear all about that. So weekend then, Saturday night, we go back to Stamford Bridge. I'm assuming this is one of the things that you and Rory are going to be talking about. But Chelsea probably feeling worse about life right now than we are. I'm not sure how much you out there are aware of their current form, but they've only won one game since the last international break, and that was against Lincoln City, and they had to come from behind. They got beat by Man United. They then got beat by Brighton at the weekend after taking the lead. And as much as they did win that last season, once the league had already gone and we basically checked out, they haven't won a lot against Liverpool. I think if you go back to their last 14 matches, there's only one other victory, and that was one of those weird COVID home losses that we tried to blank out in that weird 6-week period. Other than that, Liverpool have done all right from games against Chelsea, won 3 trophies in those 14 games. And yeah, looks like the better side in most of them. And I mentioned earlier on about their centre-half issues. They've got loads of them on the books, but they're all injured.
Yeah.
And then they got another one red-carded at the weekend, so Chalobah is missing. So they've basically got 3 to pick between: Badiashile, Joao Heto, who's just arrived, and Josh Ashempong, who is a good young player, but very inexperienced. So,
like a lot of their squad.
Yeah, there are a lot of young'uns.
Yeah.
So this, and obviously we should mention the fact that Cole Palmer is going to be missing this game with the groin injury as well. So it kind of feels like a good time to play them.
It does. They're a bit of a mess, aren't they? And there's even talk about, you know, the manager being a little bit under pressure, which is a bit wild when he's won 2 trophies. But, you know, that's Chelsea for you.
I was going to say, if it was any other team, you'd be, that's
Chelsea
mad.
For you, isn't it? And now that someone's pulled the plug on the manager in the form of West Ham, it feels like everyone's decided, well, now is the season you can start sacking. So, you know, we will be next. Will it be Man United? Will it be Chelsea? That kind of thing. That narrative is starting to creep out there. A lot of the managers, a lot of the fans don't seem the biggest fan of the manager.
Yeah.
So, you know, that always sort of creeps out of the stands when things start to go wrong. And as you said, plenty has done. I mean, as I was navigating my way through the various tube stations of London to try and get home, I did quite a few times, you know, as you're crossing over from line to line or whatever, the old seagulls from the people making their way back from the away side, making their way back from Stamford Bridge. And yeah, obviously they went down to 10 men again, but Brighton beat them fairly comfortably in the end. And again, you would think, looking at it, obviously from a bias point of view and all the rest of it, but our firepower, their defence, the injuries, no Palmer as well, which is a big deal. I mean, look, they still got good players there, obviously Caicedo, etc. But yeah, they just seem a bit of a mishmash. Like, you know, it just feels like someone's thrown shit at the wall and they've ended up with a load of players, and it's like £1 billion squad, but no kind of plan. It's not so together in any kind of way, which is kind of one of the criticisms of us right now. So it could be a fucking wild game, but you know, it feels, like you say, feels a good time to go there, doesn't it? Yeah,
and I mean, it will be an entertaining game. There's a reason why it's on 5:30 on Saturday, because even though, as I said, that in the last 14 games we've done all right, and yes, there has been a few 0-0s thrown in there. They've been hardly, in fact, there was 4 0-0s in a row at one point, but there were hardly boring games. There's never a boring game. I don't remember a boring game with Liverpool-Chelsea in my lifetime, basically. There's always something that goes on. And like you say, both teams are kind of unpredictable at the moment. But you'd like to think that a win there, potentially after having got a good result in Turkey, will kind of quieten down any of the noise that's been building around the game on Saturday. And you can start to think about, okay, we can really build again. But one last thing about Chelsea. Last season, as you say, it was very much a similar story. A lot of young players, a lot of new players. No one really knew what the hell they were. But in January, they were second. And lots of people were saying they're going to be the ones to push Liverpool for the title. And then they kind of fell off a cliff there. And we all know they won the World Championship, which is obviously as important as...
The fuck is that?
Yeah. Obviously, a very, very important competition. But I feel like that at some point they're going to pay for it because it meant that they didn't have any kind of gap or rest. And you could say that all these injuries now are
already are.
Yeah. But ultimately, where do you think they're going to be? Do you think they're going to be in the mix for any of the big ones?
No.
No,
not convinced at all. I think they'll end up sacking the manager. Probably spend a load more money again because that's what they do, and they'll just keep on being Chelsea. I just don't think they're in any kind of fettle to be considered a challenger for the title. I still think, you don't rule out City because the City, albeit that their start of the season actually ranks as one of the worst in a long, long time. So here we are with problems at the top of the league. I don't really sort of fear them long term, well, certainly this season term, because there's something they've got it. They haven't got the centre halves. The goalie's shite. The manager, as I say, is not liked, not convincing, already under pressure, blah, 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 blah. Put all those things together, it doesn't sound like a side that's going to win the league to me.
So, last thing on this, if Liverpool do go to Stamford Bridge and win, there will be 10 points between the sides.
Already.
Yeah. That kind of tells you all you need to know. Now, you mentioned City. I had the pleasure, if you can call it that, of going to the Etihad on Saturday, which meant that I had to actually watch the Liverpool Palace game, having already known the score, which was terrible. But they, for an hour, looked no better than Burnley. Like, they had more of the ball, but Burnley looked like they had a real game plan of how to hurt them. And teams like Burnley still believe that they can beat City, which I think is different from their dominant era. So
100%.
Even if they've now feel like they could maybe go on a run, you look at their fixtures coming up and you say, yeah, they should probably win most of those. I still think that there's weakness there. I still think that pound for pound, there isn't any team where you can say, well, they're definitely going to be better than Liverpool.
This is the thing as well, isn't it? And look, like I know I've sat there and, peppered past seasons after 6 games in. But, one thing I was looking at, or one thing I was thinking about when I was looking at it this afternoon was, when you're feeling that you've got to rack up like 6 out of 6 and things like that, it was because we had that pressure of City were perfect, City won every week, City were unbelievable, City were this unstoppable force. They're just not. No. And and I know that there's a lot of noise about Arsenal because of, in particular, the way they won, and it felt very like what we've been doing. So now all of a sudden everyone's like taking the kecks off about their mentality and, saying that it's, a done deal, that because this is the way football media it is these days, isn't it? But it's like, look, there'll be plenty of tests of their result. There'll be plenty of tests of their manager. Plenty of tests of, has he got the balls to put the best players in when it's opposition that he fears and things like that. And, fair play. Actually put what looked like the best side out there, and eventually they ground them down and won. And you can't say that they aren't brilliant at set pieces because they score so many goals from set pieces, and they've done it again, set piece FC. But does it dry up at some point? Does it, and so on. So, what I'm trying to say here is I don't look at them in the way I used to look at City.
No.
I don't think that they're going 100 points plus. And I don't think anyone is, including us.
No.
So, as someone once said, unfortunately, in negative circumstances for us, but I'm going to use it and trigger you all out there. It's all up for grabs now.
I thought you were going to say this, don't slip. Okay, so we've gone 59 minutes, so we should about wrap this up. But before we do, I want to draw attention to that lovely T-shirt that you're wearing and the reasons behind it. Those of you who are in our Patreon show, the wonderful, lovely subscribers out there, all of you gorgeous people, you will know that Robbo's got a brand new project that he's involved with. But if you're watching now and you haven't been one of our subscribers, you'll have no idea. So why don't you let them know?
Yeah, so in October, every day, I am going to walk. It'll be walk, not running, because it's me. I'm going to walk at least 5k a day in every single day of October to raise money for the campaign against living miserably. They do provide a helpline amongst many other things that they do for people who are feeling suicidal or affected by suicide, and a potentially life-saving call costs £12.20. So I've set myself a target of 1,200 quid, and already, thanks to the very kind people on our Patreon, some of my friends, etc., I'm not far off already, to be fair. When I last checked earlier, I was at about 87% of my target. So, yeah, thanks very much for everyone who's thrown in. We had lots of nice feedback as well about last week's subscriber show where we talked in depth about mental health, got into some stuff that's affected us personally and so on. We also did put out 20 minutes of that show as a free. So for those of you that never go over to Patreon or wouldn't have seen or heard that, you can watch it on the YouTube channel, and it gives you, and look, it's heavy stuff. And as we said last week, obviously you need to be in a certain frame of mind maybe to take that in. But we got lots of nice messages, and it did, as I intended all the way through. It did seem to help one or two people. We got, like I say, some people was like, good to hear you talk about that in that way, and we need to do that more. So that kind of ties in as well. Obviously, throughout the life of this channel, we have talked about mental health over and over again, whether it's me and Mo or me and Kopi. We intend to revisit that subject because we care about it, we're passionate about it. And that's why I want to do this, really. So 5k a day in October. The Just Given page, we'll put it in the description and things like that. If you're on Twitter, I've tweeted it out a couple of times on there too. And don't worry, you won't miss it, because all the way through October, I will be bothering the world about it. So as it stands, I've raised, just looking, it's gone up again, £1,080 of the 1,200 that I initially aimed, because they said, Calm said, you should aim or try and aim to raise £120 and 20 pence or whatever.
That's 10 calls.
As in 10 calls. Yeah. And so I thought, well, let's go higher. And so we're already nearly there. So thanks very much, as I say, to everyone who's thrown in. And if you want to throw in, if you can afford to throw in, if you'd like to help, fire away. And then all I've got to do is go walking every day and haul myself out of bed for 31 days.
I think you can get to 100% before October even starts,
Hope so, it'd be nice.
And then we'll have to up the ante. So obviously the last day of October just happens to be Halloween. So I think we should have some kind of little incentive that if you get to a certain number, then we might have to make you wear a certain outfit when you're doing your walk on that
Frankenstein
last day.
On the final day. Got the ad for it, haven't I?
Well, we can brainstorm exactly what that will be, but if you can, please do throw in, because as we said, it is a really important thing and a really fantastic thing that you're doing, mate. So well into you and well into all of you for watching. We are going to be going over to Patreon, where today we are going to be talking about something else I've got planned for this fella. We're going to be talking about dogs. So if you're a fan of dogs and you like hearing about dogs, like seeing dogs, then come over.
Do you like dogs?
Do you like dogs? It's my first and last and only time of doing an Irish accent on a show. So we're going to be doing that in about 5 minutes or so. So get yourself a cup of tea, come on over to Patreon and chat with us. There may actually be some crisps involved as well.
These Bretts were fucking great last week,
by
the way.
They were.
So there's a second flavour of Bretts. Oh, yes. So we'll be having a little go with them, I think. What's that?
Tartiflette. I'm not. It looks like cheese. Like you always look at the pictures. There's a clue there. So we're going to be reviewing those crisps, and we're going to be doing much more.
That
so
might be cheese and onion.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Interesting.
I was shit. I'm French. Mr. O'Kane didn't like me.
Well, I'm sorry.
Don't hold it against you, mate. But I do.
Never be one to hold a grudge. Okay, so we've got all of that out. Thank you all for joining us on this wonderful voyage. We're going to be doing another one. As I said, come over to Patreon and join us. If not, we'll see you here next week.